Greetings, urban farmers, gardeners, and healthy food visionaries. Farmer Greg here, and welcome to the 577th episode of the Urban Farm Podcast, where every day we work together to educate and inspire you to become part of your food revolution. Stay tuned for the most amazing deal on bulk seeds and seed-saving education you have ever seen. Normally around this time of year, our team puts on an event called the Great American Seed Up, where we pack hundreds of people into a room over a few days to scoop amazing open-pollinated and heirloom seeds for their gardens. We came up with the Scoop Your Own model because the majority of the cost of seeds is actually in the packaging and distribution. So by eliminating these costs, people can buy the seeds in bulk at bulk prices. Well, as you can imagine, packing hundreds of people in a room is not feasible these days, so we had to get creative. And we came up with Seed Up in a Box. And what's amazing about it is that now you can get these bulk seeds wherever you are in the world. We've chosen seeds that are popular, non-GMO, open-pollinated, and easy to grow. They're bundled 10 jumbo packs per variety so that you can share them with your community, family, church, or school. Your job is to split them into individual packages. Our job is to make them as inexpensive as possible, and right now they're averaging about 60 cents per individual jumbo portion. With all the uncertainty in the world, a lot of people are thinking about how we can make our future more food secure. Seed Up in a Box is a great way to do this because each bundle has enough seeds and education so that you may never have to purchase seeds again. This is an amazing deal, and I'm so excited for the opportunity to take the Great American Seed Up all around the world via our Seed Up in a Box. Learn more about Seed Up in a Box and get your own bundle by going to greatamericanseedup.org. That's greatamericanseedup.org. Today on our podcast, we have someone who builds small homes using thrifty resources. We're talking with returning guest Quita Jackson about off-grid container homes. Nature lover, mom, and wife, producer, storyteller, and educator are just some of the words that describe Quita. She is the founder and host of GreenDesert.org, a site dedicated to leaving less of a carbon footprint by mimicking nature. From helping build school gardens to building off-grid shipping container homes to sharing backyard to kitchen recipes, she truly lives a sustainable lifestyle and strives for zero waste. Her GreenDesert TV page has more than 100 videos sharing her lifestyle. Quita also produced and created shows for ABC News in Phoenix for the last 20 years. Hey, Quita, we got to meet you on podcast episode 181 all the way back in January of 2017 on thrifty self-sufficiency. Welcome back to the show. Can you bring us up to speed on what's been happening with you since?
Well, thank you for having me, Greg. And oh my God, it's been that long.
It has. Wow, time flies.
Crazy. Well, a lot has happened. And like you mentioned, the biggest thing is these shipping container homes. We built 2 of them. And they're off-grid, and the whole goal of the container homes is zero waste. So this has been a very fun and challenging journey. We built 2 of them, and $50,000 is how much we spent.
Wow.
So that's huge. Yeah. And we're still playing with them, working with them, upgrading, but this was huge. This was so very huge and exciting. So that's been the highlight of my life for the last year.
Well, you've created some magic around that, haven't you?
We have, and I'll tell you that the best thing about these containers for me, or I would say the most empowering thing about these containers for me, is how much work, how much we've learned, and how much we've gotten through all of the challenges. And I say that because I'm green and I'm all about the environment and I love doing crafty things and I garden and all of the above, but it doesn't mean that I'm really, really good with my hands. So we built these shipping container homes pretty much by ourselves.
Wow.
So for me, even learning to use a drill was huge. So to get to walk away and say we have these gorgeous off-grid homes and we're so close to zero waste with them, it's pretty awesome. It's like we took what we were doing already here in Phoenix, at GreenDesert with that lifestyle, and we took it to a whole nother level. And it's been fun and awesome. It was been awesome.
So before we actually get into the container homes themselves, because I have a bunch of questions for you.
Ask away.
How did you go from being a gardener in Phoenix to building container homes? That's a stretch.
It sounds like a big jump, right?
Yeah.
Well, Greg, because we've been around each other for the longest, and we both have the passion of it's all about the environment. It's all about being sustainable and zero waste. So we've been practicing that already here in Phoenix. And like I said, we wanted to take it to another level. I wanted to get to the point of retirement and real retirement where I didn't have bills. I just didn't, I could do what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so that's really what happened is, I was at ABC for 20 years and I thought it's time. It is that time to really get to focus on what I really, really want to do and that passion. So I retired and I had the time. And so we had land in Texas, 25 acres of family land, which of course that's the way to go. Right. And, it went from an idea to paper to reality. I mean, we finished pretty much within under a year. And like I said, we did most of the work on our own. We did get help with some contractors and friends with things like electricity. I can't even pretend. I mean, like I said, I just learned to use a drill. So, but that's really all it was. It really just started with, let's just take things to another level. And, Greg, you and I have talked about it before when it comes to gardening and self-sufficiency and zero waste, it just doesn't sound sexy.
Right.
And so, although we preach it and live the lifestyle and tell it, you still have that frustration of, we all have to live here. Why aren't we taking care of it? And people don't want to listen. So we said, you know what? We're done trying to convince people. We're just going to live the lifestyle. We're going to tell the story. And the people that pick it up, great. We're on the same page. And people will follow, and it's one thing at a time. And so that really was the goal of it all. So in all of it, we have a place to stay with no bills, retired, off grid, and it's in the middle of gorgeous country and animal wildlife. And it's what I wanted. It's really what I wanted.
Wow. So you still haven't quite answered the question I'm curious about.
Uh-oh.
How did you discover building container homes? How did that happen?
Well, it was really more so tiny homes, that's been trending for a while.
Yep.
And what gave us really the idea with the shipping container homes, because like I said, the goal still was to how can we be off grid and get close to zero waste? And here in Phoenix and the house that we're in, it's not huge, but of course, the bigger you live, the harder it is to live that lifestyle. So that really is what got that idea going. We wanted something where we were independent and didn't have to depend on other people. So it was just kind of like, what can we do so that when things around us are happening, we're not as much affected? And that's how it came about. We chose the shipping containers over tiny. They're supposed to be more sturdy. It just had a lot of benefits to it. The downside or the challenge to that is a lot of people know how to work with wood, but not with steel.
All right.
So that was the hard thing about it. Really, Greg, it was just the idea of getting off it. How can we make this a reality? And we watched a lot of, shows. There's so many shows online with tiny homes and this and that. And it went from that. We have a great engineer who sat down and designed it, and he made it easy. He just made it very easy because he was there the whole step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
Once the design was there, it was really just following through and not letting things get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I retired, we saved up money, we knew what our budget was going to be, and we just had to do it.
Nice.
Once you spend that money, you're going to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the timing was perfect with COVID and everything. It was almost like we planned it out, because for a lot of the building, it was when, COVID was really just starting out and it was scary and you really just didn't even want to go around people at all. So we didn't feel the effects as much because we were on this, this rural land building, eating from the land, doing everything from the land. So that was it.
Wow.
I don't know what else the answer is. It just started off as an idea and we just kept talking about it. And it was just like, let's just do this. And it made it easier. Like I said, once I retired, I didn't have an excuse.
Right.
No more
Right.
excuses.
All right. So I'm driving up to your house.
Okay.
I park out in front. What am I looking at? What am I going to see on the outside?
So on the outside, you're going to see a shipping container with lots of windows. So it doesn't look like a shipping container. There's 11 windows on the container. And the goal was we want to still feel like we're outside and not be, just feeling just cluttered, right?
Right.
So you're going to see the shipping container. You're going to see lots of green land. You're going to see our garden beds. You're going to see our solar panels. You're going to see our water system. You're going to just see our lifestyle.
Nice. And is it one container or two for your home?
So there are 2 containers, and we have them spaced about 7 acres apart.
7 acres apart?
So, yeah.
That is quite the living room in between.
Right. Well, because you still want that peace. You want that privacy. And the nice thing about it is it's close enough to family where we can all get together and have a great time, but it's not close enough where you feel comfortable just walking over and knocking or walking in unannounced. At least I'll see you coming, right? So,
yeah, exactly. Your shipping container home, how big is it inside?
It is 360 square feet. And like I said, we have 2, but one of them we have, and then the other one is my sister-in-law. So it's family. We did it all together. And in fact, if you see some of the off-grid stories that we did, you'll meet some of the family, and you'll definitely meet my sister-in-law, Sophia, because it was really her and I we were just having fun. And we fought a lot. And the nice thing about it too, Greg, is you know me, I'm very transparent.
Yep.
So the stories are very transparent, and our little disagreements and the good, the bad, the hard, the easy. And it was just really a fun experience. But like I said, it was just empowering. That was the huge thing about it because of so much I've learned and I'm still learning.
Yeah. And that's GreenDesert.org that you can find those videos, right?
Yes. Or our YouTube page is the easiest place to go. And that's GreenDesert TV.
Oh, perfect.
And everything is there. Yes.
GreenDesert TV. Excellent.
Yes.
So this 300 square foot home, how many people live in it?
So it's 2, my son, we let him come in and out. But, when we first built it, the idea was, it's a 45-foot container, and it's a high cube. And the goal is we were going to have this for us, and then we were building a 20-footer for the kids because they don't need the kitchen and all of that good stuff, right?
Right.
So right now, my youngest, he stays with us in the container when we're there. But for me, ideally, I want a little more space. Mom and Daddy needs a little bit of their own time, right?
Right.
So, but ideally 2 people, and it feels spacious. It doesn't feel cluttered. I mean, if you took a walk through it and you see these, you'd be amazed, like, really? This was a shipping container? And you have everything you need. You have everything you need.
Nice. All right. A shipping container. It's a rectangular space. What did you do inside? Because you said earlier that it didn't look like, you wouldn't imagine that it's a shipping container. What did you do inside to abate that, to make it look like home?
You know what? It was so easy because we didn't look at it as a shipping container. From the get-go, we looked at it as a home. So we did everything that you would do in a regular home starting from scratch. We took floors and scrubbed the floors to make sure they were clean. We put down, new floors, the vinyl down. We put up tongue and groove. Can you believe this? I know the wording. Like, I did this. But we put tongue and groove up on the walls. We painted them. The color that we painted the walls is called solemn silence. Like, we did a lot of things by the meaning and things, so that we could, feel that.
Yeah.
So that we put a lot of color into them. My colors are orange and yellow, so it feels bright. We've got gorgeous white cabinets. I mean, it just feels like a regular homey home. And like I said, because you do it yourself, you can customize it with your own touch. You know what I mean? So we've got our compost toilet that still looks like the regular toilet. We built a lot of the furniture that's in there from from a wood on the family land. We found wood 100 years old that our grandfather tore a barn down, and we built with that. We built our garden beds. We built furniture inside. We built things for our gray water system. Everything we are trying to, like I said, zero waste.
Yeah.
So we've got that homey feel. We've got our green desert kind of sustainable lifestyle, and it just feels like home. It really feels like home. I got my kitchen. That's the main thing I need. So as long as my kitchen is what I need, I'm good. Have a place to eat and sleep. But like I said, it feels spacious. We even had gatherings where we had at least 10 people in the container at a time.
Wow.
And it does not feel cluttered. I can't wait for you to see it, Greg.
I'm looking forward to it. And so if somebody wants to see the inside of it, I'm sure you have videos at GreenDesert TV, right? On YouTube?
Yep, we've got videos,
Right,
and
cool.
on YouTube, and then we've got pictures all over. So, the base is greendesert.org, and that has all of our social media. It tells stories, it has pictures, videos, everything.
Awesome. And we live in a place where you have to get permits, when you go to build something like this. Tell me about that process.
That was definitely a process. And I'm going to tell this story as positive as possible. Honestly, though, not to bash cities and counties, but the problem is it's so new. They're not familiar with what to do with anything. So I will say it was definitely a bumpy start for us. And that was one of our biggest challenges. And it was permits. Before we got started, we spoke to city, people with the city to find out, okay, this is what we're doing. We're building it here in Phoenix, but it's temporary. It's actually going to live in Texas. It's off grid, so we told them all of that. And then it was, oh, no, you don't need a permit. And then we started building. And I guess maybe one of the neighbors or something complained. And then they came out and said, you have to stop working. And if anybody that's in construction, that's like death. No, I have to stop working. I'm losing money. I'm losing time. So when I went down to the city, the hard thing was we got sent around to so many different departments because nobody really knew what to tell us.
Right.
So because our frustration was, I'm fine getting a permit. You just have to tell me what permit and I'm good. And everything led to something else, from needing a site plan to, we even got that if the containers stayed for a certain amount of time, they had to be anchored down because the wind could blow them over.
What?
So it was in Phoenix. I mean, there are homes in Phoenix that are going to blow over before. You got to think about how much these containers weigh.
Right.
Plus, we had already added things to them. So it was frustrating because it was, look at what we're trying to do. Just tell us how to get there. So in the end, and talking with the city, everything they were requiring, they actually kind of pushed us out, and not in a rude way. But bottom line, they were like, it's going to be more expensive. You should just go. That was really what we got from the city of Phoenix. So then in getting to Texas with the county, you still have the problems of, off grid is just not pushed right now by the city. So they were trying to force us to do sewer, and they were forcing us to do the things that it was our whole goal in doing this, is being off grid. So we did end up getting a permit with the county in Texas where we're building, which was, I'm so grateful for, because that was a big stress, is they're telling you can't build, but we're out of town only for a certain amount of time. What are we supposed to do? So that's really hard, but I would suggest anybody that's doing it, start early with your municipalities, because you just don't know. And it can cost so much money and so much time fighting this system just to do something that actually is better for the environment.
Right.
So it was you definitely got a lot of research to do there. And I know it's a lot of laws and regulations I'm learning that they're trying to do with tiny homes, because that's one of the reasons they're not as affordable as they should be. It's all of these policies and fees and unknowns. So it's definitely something we have to push for as a society. Tiny living, what's bad about it?
Yeah.
Why not? It may not be for everybody, but why not make it an option,
Yeah, exactly.
So that was rough. That was a hard thing. But in the end, I have to tell you, I'm grateful to the city, because it was so much more fun, so much more like invigorating building in Texas, because we got to see our environment of where it was going to be. And versus building here on a little plot, we were able to build with the surroundings. There was cows always running around, and deer, and that peace. Nature is really what drives me. And so I think us getting to be around nature while we had this journey, it just made it that much better. And being around family.
Right. Well, and that's one of the magical pieces of this, is that this is a family land that has been in your family for over 100 years. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, and let me tell you, so my mother-in-law, her father, so grandfather, she grew up in this house. And so and on this land.
Uh-huh.
And she was one of the elders who really, really, really wanted our generation to come back to the land and restore the land. And, because as a society, it's always greener on the other side. So when you grow up in the country, you're running to the city and vice versa. So the great thing about this project is it was not only good for our immediate family, but for the larger family, because it encouraged so many people to come back to the land. So since we started this project and dropped our containers on the land, we have 2 more homes that's been dropped, tiny homes, by other family members, and 2 more that are getting ready to drop there.
Oh, nice.
So that in itself made this, even through all the challenges and everything, it made it so worth it. I mean, to see my mother-in-law and this woman, I mean, she is amazing in the sense of she will outwork any of us.
Right.
So you look at, right? She outworks any of us. She's out in that field pulling weeds. She's out in piles getting wood to build things. It is just inspiring and motivating, especially for the younger generation. So for our family, this has just been such a huge thing, and it's so encouraging. And like I said, it's just motivating more and more family to come back to the land. And I just really believe that's the way it's supposed to be. We shouldn't keep starting over. You got the land, use it. Yeah. I mean, 100 years. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
And I think you did mention in our pre-conversation that the land has actually been put into a trust, so it won't ever be sold. It'll always be this.
Right. So that's been always the goal is we just don't want this to be, hey guys, you've got land, do what you want with it. The goal of this land is not let's go make money or sell it, or that's not the goal. The goal is really to live this peaceful, zero waste lifestyle and be around family. Mm-hmm. And so that's the whole goal is nobody gets to sell the land. You're here for good. It's going to be here another 100 years and another 100 years after that. Nice. So yes, that's the whole intention. Wow. And like I said, for the elders that are already on the land, I say kids, I mean, I'm in my 40s, but I feel like a kid. So seeing us all come back to the land, for them, it's rejuvenating them and it's giving them more purpose. And it's a win-win situation, Greg. Yeah. It really is.
Wow. And I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Your enthusiasm comes through and you're speaking about it.
Thank you. And you have to stop me because if you let me go, this interview will go for like 2 hours and I'll keep talking and I won't even give you a chance to interrupt me, Greg.
Well, there you go.
We've been friends,
There you go.
But that is my joy. It really is my joy, the containers. That's what's got my heart right now. So.
Yeah. Well, and this whole, tiny home thing is huge.
It is. And I'm telling you, Greg, oh God, I can't wait for you to see. You got to get online and look at them and you're going to be like, whoa. See, I mean, when it was time to come back here because we were going to just quarantine there, but the kid was here and it was just too much stuff I had to do. I was really depressed about coming back because of all the green that I was missing out on. Fortunately, when I got home, my garden was so crazy that I had the green and I was good. But it's just a whole nother, I don't even know how to describe it. But even when I'm in a bad mood, I'm not in a bad mood because I don't even know how to describe it. But it's amazing.
So I think of Texas as this great big place that's mostly desert. And it doesn't sound to me like this property that you're living on is that. Tell me about the property.
Not at all. The property is gorgeous. It's green all around. And I will say, because everybody left, it's just been not taken care of. Some people will look at that as, oh my God, you got to cut these trees, you got to this, you got to that. But that to me is beauty. It is nature at its finest. So it's lots of trees, it's lots of green. There are cows. We don't have cows on our land, but we do have neighbors that do a lot of, agriculture and things. So they're gorgeous cows that won't talk to me. I walk by them every morning and I talk to them and they look at me and walk away. So my goal by the end of this next trip is those cows are going to be my friends. But that's what it looks like. So you've got the cows, you've got deer that run through. It's just like you're in the middle of just nature. It's gorgeous.
What is your pathway from living in Phoenix to not living in Phoenix?
Well, I don't want to say I'm moving. I want to say I have another option of a place to be, and I'll go back and forth because, Phoenix still is my home. I love Phoenix. I've learned so much here. I've grown so much here, and I have a lot of family here too. Yeah. And one of the big things about Phoenix that you just can't get past is this sun. And people may complain about the heat, but the sun is the whole basis of life. I don't want to leave that. There's so much we can do with it. So Phoenix is still home. Texas, I would call just second home.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I have to be in one place or the other because, again, my goal is to have the freedom to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a place to be.
Do you see yourself ever moving there full time?
I definitely can see that maybe a couple of decades down the line. I would like to retire in a place like that.
Yeah.
Right now, I just feel like I have so much more that I want to give and I want to move around that I can't see myself just sitting, honestly, in one place, whether it be Phoenix or Texas. Right now, I really just want to continue with the passion of growing. I want to build more containers. I want to build one here in Phoenix. I want to, I just feel like I have so much to do before I can say this is it and where I'm going to end up, But I want to make sure that we have a place to go, that my kids, I have 2 boys who are, one will be 18 soon. I can't believe it. So wow. 18 and 14 years old. I want them to have a place to go and to know it's home and not to feel the stress of everyday society, and I don't want them to feel like they have to start over in this game of life of buying land, buying houses, having mortgage. I don't want that for them. I want them to live a free life that, mimics Mother Nature. I think if we mimic Mother Nature, we wouldn't be in so many of these negative situations that we're in. Right. Mother Nature got it right. So why recreate the wheel? Just do what she does. And so that's what I want to do. And that's what I want to teach people. And that's what I want my kids to teach their kids,
Yeah. I am so incredibly proud of you for doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hey, I learned so much from you. So you keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, I will.
I've learned so much from you. You're talking a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah.
You are amazing. You're one of my heroes, but I think you know that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to shift on you. And as a returning guest, I'd like for you to share a vivid childhood memory around food.
A childhood memory around food. Okay. Well, the funny thing with me and food, and my family will all vouch for me, is growing up, I loved food. They always said I was the greedy one. They said, Quita will eat it. Like the Mikey will eat it commercials.
Oh, yes, of course.
That was me growing up. And they always could tell if I really liked something. And I still do it today. And I try to stop because now that I know it, I dance when I really enjoy my food.
Oh, nice. Of course. Yes.
So as a child, I'm always dancing around with food. And so now I try to catch myself. Why are you dancing? Why are you dancing? Why are you dancing? I'm walking around with my kale chips dancing. So I would say that's the childhood memory of the dancing that has continued throughout my life.
Nice. And a new piece of advice for our listeners.
A new piece of advice. Okay, and don't go on and on and on forever.
No, we got time.
I would say advice. I'd say the biggest thing that was good advice for me that I would like for people to understand is not to let society dictate your passion. I think society can be the biggest sabotager other than yourself. So don't let society dictate your passions and don't self-sabotage opportunities because of your fears. I find myself doing that all the time. Mm-hmm. I'll make excuses, and the excuses always really, really, really good excuses. They're valid. They make sense, but we get in our own way. So I think in the end, if you just remember what your goal is, every decision that you make, you run that through your head. Is this getting me closer to my goal or further away? And I swear by this. And I think that helps us with making better decisions, and that helps keep us from sabotaging ourselves. And it's easier said than done. So this isn't me saying I'm an expert at this. Mm-hmm. I've been working on this for decades. So don't self-sabotage and don't let society dictate where you're going to go with your passion.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today again, Quita.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg.
Oh my gosh. It's always a delight. So tell us how our listeners can find you.
The best way to find us is just go to our website. It's GreenDesert.org.
Perfect. And your YouTube channel is?
GreenDesert TV.
Perfect. And if you'd like to hear more from Quita, you can find our episode 181 at urbanfarm.org/greendeserts. Plus, you can find show notes from today's podcast at urbanfarm.org/greendesert2.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Urban Farm Podcast. Remember to listen for tips, advice, and resources to help you on your journey with urban farming. You can find us on the web at urbanfarm.org or send us an email to podcast@urbanfarm.org. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Be encouraged that with each lesson learned and skill developed, you are one step closer in the direction of your dreams.